from another galaxy. It is written in first-person narrative style, perfect for narration in a 12 Below is a complete, original, long-form science fiction romance story titled My Boyfriend is 15-minute video, when read at a natural storytelling pace, around 150 to 160 words per minute. Word count, 2,912 words. 1. My boyfriend is from another galaxy. My name is Lena Carter, and up until 6 months ago I was just another overworked astronomy graduate student at Kitt Peak Observatory in Arizona, living on coffee, ramen, and the faint hope that one day I'd discover something that mattered. I spent my nights staring at pixelated patches of the sky, cataloging distant galaxies that no one would ever visit. That was before I met Kyle. It started on a night when the sky was unusually clear. I was alone in the control room of the 4-meter telescope, running a routine survey of the Perseus cluster, when the alarms went off. Not the gentle, hey, interesting, transient ping. These were the screaming, red flashing, we are detecting something impossible alarms. A point source had appeared out of nowhere, brighter than anything in the catalog, moving against the stellar background at a velocity that should have been physically impossible without tearing itself apart. I thought it was a glitch. Then it changed direction, on purpose. 30 seconds later, every monitor in the room went black except one. On it appeared a face. Not a video feed. His image simply materialized like a hologram projected straight into the pixels. He was beautiful in a way that felt unfair. High cheekbones, eyes the color of nebular gas, skin that shimmered faintly like starlight on water, and long silver-white hair tied back with what looked like a strip of liquid metal. Apologies for the intrusion, he said in perfect, accentless English. My navigation array was damaged. I required a compatible electromagnetic intelligence to interface with. You were unexpectedly welcoming. I should have been terrified. Instead, I heard myself say, "You hijacked a $200 million telescope to ask for tech support?" A smile tugged at his lips. In a manner of speaking, his name was Kyle Therial of the Lyran Dominion, though he told me almost immediately to call him Kyle. His ship had been caught in a dark matter shear during an evacuation from a dying system in the Andromeda Galaxy, 2.5 million light-years away. The jump had shredded his subliminal engines and flung him here, into the Orion spur of the Milky Way. He was, for all intents and purposes, marooned. Over the next weeks we talked every night. He never reappeared visually after that first time, said it took too much power, but his voice became the soundtrack of my life. He taught me words in Lyranese that had no English equivalent, concepts like Sci-Fi, the grief of watching a star die, and Kithera, the specific joy of finding another mind that resonates at your exact frequency. I taught him sarcasm, memes, and why humans put pineapple on pizza. He was horrified, then weirdly fascinated. I told myself it was just an extraordinary friendship. I was lonely, he was brilliant, and the universe had decided to give me the most interesting pen pal imaginable. Then one night in late August, the power grid for half the observatory went dark. I stepped outside to check the generators and saw a silver streak arc across the sky, silent, graceful, impossibly fast. It settled, like a feather in the empty field behind the dormitories. The hatch opened. Kyle stepped out. He was taller than I expected, maybe 6'5", wearing some kind of adaptive suit that shifted from matte black to reflective silver as he moved. When he saw me, his whole face softened. "Lena," he said, and my name in his mouth sounded like music. I don't remember running to him. I just remember the way he caught me, arms strong and warm, the faint electric tingle where his skin touched mine. He smelled like ozone and something sweet, like night-blooming flowers from a world I'd never know. "You weren't supposed to come down," I whispered against his chest. "Your ship's stealth is failing," he finished. "I know. I am tired of speaking to you through glass and vacuum." That was our first kiss. It tasted like starlight and terrible decisions. For 3 months we kept it secret. He cloaked his ship in the desert, moved it every few days. We met in arroyos, abandoned mine shafts, once inside the closed visitor center after hours. He learned to eat tacos approved and watch old sci-fi movies, deeply offended by most of them. I learned that Lyrans bond through touch, Skin-to-skin contact exchanges packets of memory and emotion. Every time we held hands, I caught flashes of his life. Twin suns setting over crystal oceans, cities grown rather than built, the day his sister's ship vanished into a black hole. He never said I love you in English. He said you are my Kythera, and I felt the weight of an entire civilization's poetry behind it. But nothing that perfect lasts. In November, the military showed up. Someone, probably a postdoc with dreams of tenure, had leaked the anomalous data. Black SUVs rolled onto the mountain. Men in suits who didn't blink started asking questions about unauthorized signals. They took my laptops, my notes, my phone. They put the observatory on lockdown. Kyle went silent for 4 days. On the 5th night he appeared in my room. No ship, no warning. He looked wrong. His skin had lost its shimmer. There were dark circles under his eyes, the color of bruises. "They're coming for me," he said. "Your government traced the energy signature. They have weapons now that can pierce my shields. I have perhaps hours." My heart stopped. "Then take me with you." He closed his eyes. "Lena, my drive is damaged. I can make 1 jump, maybe 2 if I push it. But the calculations are uncertain. I might end up 1,000 light years off course. Or inside a star. And even if we survive, you would never see Earth again. Your family, your work, your sky. I don't care. I was already shoving clothes into a backpack. I'm not losing you." He watched me for a long moment, something ancient and sad in his expression. Then he nodded. We left through the window. His ship rose silently above the dorms, cloaked again, a ghost in the night. Inside, it was bigger than it looked. Organic curves, soft blue lighting, consoles that responded to thought. He sat at the pilot station, fingers flying over holographic controls. That was when the missiles launched. I saw them on the rear sensors, 3 streaks of fire rising from the valley. Kyle swore in Lyranese and slammed the drive into emergency overload. The ship lurched. Gravity vanished. My stomach flipped as colors I had no names for smeared across the viewport. 1 missile got close, too close. The explosion rocked us, alarms screaming. Kyle's arm bled silver white across the console. "Hold on to me," he shouted. I wrapped my arms around him from behind. The bond flared, skin contact at its strongest. Suddenly, I was inside his mind, and he was in mine. I felt his fear, his love, the precise calculations he was making with half a damaged brain. I saw the jump coordinates, not toward Lyran space, but somewhere else entirely, a fallback point. A planet his people had seeded long ago as a refuge. The second missile hit just as the drive engaged. There was no tunnel of light, no comforting Star Trek whoosh. There was only pain, every atom in my body screaming as reality folded. I blacked out with Kyle's voice in my head saying my name like a prayer. I woke to birdsong, real birdsong. Not the electronic chirp of the ship's systems, but actual creatures made of feathers and hunger. I was lying on soft grass under a violet sky with 3 moons. Kyle sat beside me, bandaging his arm with a strip torn from his suit. The ship, or what was left of it, lay half buried in a meadow 100 yards away, smoke curling from its wounds. "Where are we?" I croaked. He looked up and smiled, tired but whole. "A world your people will call Gliese 581G in about 300 years. My people called it Ether. It is unoccupied at this moment in its timeline. The colony ships are not due for another millennium." I sat up slowly. The air tasted clean, like rain and pine. In the distance, mountains rose purple against the horizon. "So we're stuck? For now." He took my hand. Through the bond I felt the rest. The drive core had burned out completely. Spare parts didn't exist this side of the galactic plane. It would take decades, maybe centuries, to rebuild even a basic communicator, let alone a star drive. I should have been devastated. Instead, I laughed until I cried. Centuries, with him, on a virgin world under alien stars. Kyle tilted his head. "You are not angry?" "I spent my whole life looking up at the sky wishing I could touch it," I said. "Turns out the sky came down and touched me first." He kissed me then, slow and reverent, and the bond sang between us like a choir of light. Years have passed. How many I no longer count the same way. We built a house from the ship's hull plates and the wood of trees that sing when the wind blows through them. I learned to farm the local crops. He learned to cook badly but with enthusiasm. We mapped rivers, named constellations, made love under auroras that look like dragon fire. Sometimes at night I still miss Earth. The smell of coffee, my mother's voice, the way the Milky Way looked from Kitt Peak. But the ache is soft now, like missing a childhood home you can never return to. Kyle says one day, when the colony ships come, we'll greet them as the first inhabitants, the guardians who kept the world ready. We'll tell them stories of a blue planet where a lonely astronomer fell in love with a stranded traveler and how love turned out to be the most powerful engine in the universe. Until then, we have this world, these moons, this endless sky, and we have each other. My boyfriend is from another galaxy, and somehow, against every law of physics and probability, he is home.